Hello and welcome back to our online English class. Today we are going to review Units 6 and 7. So let's look on the screen and you will see the Unit 6 test. I hope these have been helpful since we have to take the real test this week. So you'll be getting an email from me soon. Okay, let's go ahead and do the listening activity. Now, as you listen, of course, you can just circle the correct answer and also complete Lola's to-do list. We're going to listen to it twice. So the first time, you can just focus on the first exercise, and then when we listen to it the second time, you can focus on this exercise. But as you take notes, you can just write short notes, but when you practice answering them verbally, I want you to make complete sentences, okay? And also keep in mind that when we talk about a to-do list, think about the kind of words we need to use to make a sentence. So if you are talking about what you need to do, then how do you make a sentence? Now, of course, it's not I, but Lola. You have to use Lola, or you can say she, and then complete the sentence. So for the list, you can just write short notes, but remember, just think about how you can make full sentences, at least as you practice them verbally, okay? So let's go ahead and do, or listen to the audio.
Unit 6, Test. Section A, Listening.
Hello?
Lola? Hi, it's Sally.
Hi, Sally. How are you?
I'm fine. It's been a long time since we've talked. Listen, I'm calling to see if you can come to my house for dinner on Friday.
Oh, Sally, thanks so much, but I don't think I can. I have to go shopping on Friday evening.
Well, can't you go shopping on Friday afternoon?
Well, before I go shopping, I have to clean the apartment. See, my relatives are coming to visit.
Well, how about Saturday?
Well, see, my relatives arrive on Saturday morning. I have to meet them at the bus station at 11 o'clock. After they arrive, I'm going to drive them to my sister's house.
Wow, Lola. You're going to be busy this weekend.
And Sally, I'm not finished. All my relatives are coming to my apartment for dinner on Saturday. I need to prepare dinner for 15 people.
Well, after you do all that work for your family, you need to rest and relax on Sunday.
I can't. I have an English project due on Monday.
Boy, Lola, you certainly have a big to-do list. Well, maybe you can come for dinner next week then.
I'd love to. Thanks, Sally.
Okay, let's listen to it one more time.
Unit 6, Test. Section A, Listening.
Hello?
Lola? Hi, it's Sally.
Hi, Sally. How are you?
I'm fine. It's been a long time since we've talked. Listen, I'm calling to see if you can come to my house for dinner on Friday.
Oh, Sally, thanks so much, but I don't think I can. I have to go shopping on Friday evening.
Well, can't you go shopping on Friday afternoon?
Well, before I go shopping, I have to clean the apartment. See, my relatives are coming to visit.
Well, how about Saturday?
Well, see, my relatives arrive on Saturday morning. I have to meet them at the bus station at 11 o'clock. After they arrive, I'm going to drive them to my sister's house.
Wow, Lola. You're going to be busy this weekend.
And Sally, I'm not finished. All my relatives are coming to my apartment for dinner on Saturday. I need to prepare dinner for 15 people.
Well, after you do all that work for your family, you need to rest and relax on Sunday.
I can't. I have an English project due on Monday.
Boy, Lola, you certainly have a big to-do list. Well, maybe you can come for dinner next week then.
I'd love to. Thanks, Sally.
Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. Okay, what are they talking about? Right? What are they talking about? Okay, so you probably circled weekend plans. So how do we make a sentence? Okay, yeah, so you can say they are talking about weekend plans. They are talking about weekend plans. You could also say they are talking about their weekend plans, like THEIR, like my, your, his, her, their, our. Okay, let me ask a quick question that I should have asked earlier, but let me ask, who is talking in this conversation? Who is talking? Okay, yeah, we can say Sally and Lola are talking. Sally and Lola are talking. What is their relationship? What is their relationship? Okay, you could say they are friends. They are friends. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2. What does Sally ask Lola? Okay. And we can say Sally asks Lola to come to dinner. Letter B. Okay, and as you can see, this is a third person singular helping verb, so we have to say Sally asks Lola to come to dinner. Okay, number 3. Why can't Lola accept Sally's invitation? So if we make a sentence, we need to use the word because, and as you can see, we have the word why. So we can say Lola can't accept Sally's invitation because she's busy. Letter C. Lola can't accept Sally's invitation because she's busy. And then number 4, when are they going to get together? Okay. And the answer is they are going to get together next week. They are going to get together next week. Letter A. Okay, and then now let's take a look at the second activity. Things to do. So this is Lola's to-do list. So the first thing she mentioned was that she needs to go shopping. Okay. Now, if you want, you can be specific and you can say she needs to go grocery shopping. Usually when we say go shopping, we think about the mall, like shopping for clothes or shopping for gifts. But when we shop for food, we usually say grocery shopping. So you could say go grocery shopping. Now, of course, when we make a sentence, we have to include more information or more details, but when we make notes, we can just make very short phrases. Okay, and the second thing she mentioned was clean apartment. Okay, now we're going to make sentences a little bit later, but I'm just making short notes as I mentioned. Now let me make a comment or ask you a question. Which one will she do first? Which one will she do first? Okay, she will actually clean her apartment first, because if you remember from the listening, she said, before I go grocery shopping, so before she does this, she needs to do this. So before she goes grocery shopping, she's going to clean her apartment. So we need to actually put that first, okay? This is the first thing. This is the second thing, even though she mentioned this first, okay? And then the third thing she needs to do is meet. Now, when we make a short note, we can just say, oops, sorry, station. And if you want, you can include the time, which is at 11. Okay? And then, after she meets her relatives, she needs to drive them. Okay? Okay. And then, so drive them to her sister's house. And then after that, she needs to, make dinner for everybody. And finally, she has to work on, or you can also say do. So, do English project. But as I mentioned, you can also use the phrase work on. When we talk about projects, we often use work on. Okay? Let me put this in parentheses so you know it goes together. Okay. Now, let's practice making sentences. Okay, so for number 1, we can say Lola has to, or Lola needs to, clean her apartment, or you can say clean the apartment. Okay, and then number 2, she needs to, or she has to, go grocery shopping. And then number 3, she needs to meet her relatives at the bus station. Okay, she needs to meet her relatives at the bus station. Okay. Now, of course, if this is Lola's to-do list, she will probably say meet my relatives at the bus station. And same thing here, you can say clean the apartment or clean my apartment. Okay, and then number 4, we can say she needs to, or I need to, drive them to her sister's house. So let's just use third person since it says Lola's. Okay, so she needs to drive them to her sister's house. Okay, her, we have to use her. Then she needs to make dinner. And then finally, she needs to, or she has to do her English project, or she needs to work on her English project. Okay, so I hope that was good practice. Now we're going to look at exercise B, grammar. Okay, combine the sentences. You have many chores. You need to prioritize. Okay, so we have to use when clauses. If you remember, a when clause, it of course needs to include the subject and the verb, which is a clause, and it also talks about 2 things that happen at the same time. Okay, so let's do the first one together. When, oops, let me go with that. Okay, so when you have many chores, okay, comma, which is right here, you need to prioritize. This is pretty easy. You just need to put these sentences in the correct place, either with the when clause or as the main clause. Okay, and then go ahead and take some time to do numbers 2 through 5. You can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, now let's look at number 2. In the case of number 2, the when clause is at the end. For number 1, it was at the beginning. But here, it's at the end, so we need to use don't procrastinate when your projects are due on Monday. Okay, so of course, we could also say when your projects are due on Monday, don't procrastinate. Number 3, you're talking to your children. Don't be impatient. So, when you're talking to your children, oops, don't be impatient. Okay? So, again, the when clause is at the beginning. Number 4, you have a deadline. Plan your tasks. Okay? When you have a deadline, plan your tasks. So this is also at the beginning, the when clause. And then number 5, don't turn on the television. You need to focus. So we can say, don't turn on the, I'm just going to put TV, when you need to focus. So we could also say, when you need to focus, don't turn on the TV. Okay, and now we are going to look at before and after clauses. So they are very similar to when clauses. Just like when clauses, they have a clause and a main dependent clause and a main clause. The dependent clause begins with before and after, and just like when clauses, they can be placed in the front or at the back of a sentence. But instead of talking about two activities that happen at the same time, they talk about activities that happen at different times. So, of course, before and after. Before introduces the second activity, and after introduces the first activity. I know that's kind of confusing, especially if you speak a different language, or if you speak a language that puts the order in a different way. It can be even more confusing. But let's look at the first one together. So we can see two activities: go to the supermarket and meet the children. And this is Lola's evening schedule. Same Lola from the listening, but different schedule. Okay, so it says after, so we know that we need to look for the first activity. So after Lola goes, okay, to the supermarket, and then we can put the second activity. She will meet the children. Okay, so again, after Lola goes to the supermarket, which is the first activity, then she will meet the children. That's the second activity. Okay, so go ahead and complete numbers 2 through 5. You can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so number 2. Before, and again, before introduces the second activity. So we need to say before she, or let's just say Lola, before she, and so you can see meet the children and start preparing dinner. So before Lola starts preparing dinner, since this is the second activity, she, will meet the children. We'll stop here since it says meet the children. Also, keep in mind that when we use when clauses, actually, in this case, it's easy because it's all present tense. So both the when clause and the main clause are present tense. Now, you can use when clauses with other tenses as well, but in this case, these are talking about general information. So generally, when you have many chores, you need to prioritize. So both the when clause and the main clause are in present tense, the same tense. But for before and after clauses, you can see that the after clauses and before clauses are in present tense, but the main clause is in future tense for this for the schedule in this case. Okay, so after Lola goes to the supermarket, she will meet the children. Before Lola starts preparing dinner, she will meet the children. Okay. Now let's look at number 3. After, now we have the same two activities, but this time we're using the after clause. So remember, after introduces the first activity. So after Lola meets the children, okay, she will start preparing dinner. So you can see the difference here, okay? But again, use present tense in the after clause and future tense in the main clause. Okay, number 4, eat dinner and clean the kitchen. So we can say Lola will clean the kitchen after she eats dinner. Okay, so eats dinner is the first activity. So we have to use it with after and present tense because it's the after clause. Okay. So again, you can say after she eats dinner or after Lola eats dinner, she will clean the kitchen. All right, number 5. Okay, so we can say she, or let's just keep saying Lola for the first part. So Lola will clean the kitchen before she leaves for her evening class. Okay, yeah, so I'm not sure if you remembered to put an article or a possessive before evening class, but it would be best to use her or the, but it's better to use her since we're talking about her class. Okay, so Lola will clean the kitchen before she leaves for her English class. Okay, now it's already, or we already passed 20 minutes, so we're going to start, we're going to do the reading activity in part 2 of the video, okay? So you can go ahead and move on to part 2.